Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. I can't believe the joy of the video I'm about to present to you. It is, I'm going to say, the most humiliating piece of news that Humza Yousaf can possibly ever have read. Now, if I said to you that there was a poll taken and that the majority in that poll were favourable to Westminster maintaining some control over the Scottish Parliament, that probably wouldn't come as a surprise to most people. If I told you, however, that this majority of people who wanted Westminster to maintain control over Scotland, they were SNP voters. The majority of SNP voters do not want full independence and want Westminster to control and rein in the worst of the excesses of the SNP government. This is their own supporters. What hope for independence now? It's unbelievable. We're going to take a look at this, and honest to heavens to Betsy, it is absolutely, it's comedy gold, isn't it? This has just handed the opposition the biggest mace that you can use to beat him around the head with. His own party, his own supporters don't want the SNP to be running Scotland. Here we go. Now, this is one of those, you honestly couldn't make it up. He cannot stand there now and say he has any kind of mandate when even his own party don't have confidence in him. So, humiliation for Humza Yousaf's competence as majority of SNP voters want some Westminster control. It is, I'm reading these words and I can't believe them. Polling showed that the Scottish Government was not trusted to run Scotland without any help from the UK Government in a damning indictment of years of SNP rule. Now, that is not something I would be surprised at reading. I really would. If you were doing a Scottish-wide poll across all parties. But, let's get to this. Humza Yousaf's competence as First Minister has been dealt a killer blow after it was revealed that the majority of SNP voters don't trust him to run an independent Scotland. The shock results showcased that the Scottish Government have not done enough to earn the trust of voters to go it alone. Of course not. Of course they haven't. Because people have got eyes. They look around. They see everything. They see the urban decay. They see the destruction of the SNP. Not the SNP, the NHS. They see the destruction. I wish it was the destruction of the SNP. They see the destruction of social care. They see the destruction of education, of transport, of communication, of the economy, of industry, of the oil industry, of the fishing industry. Everything. You point to it, they've destroyed it. Anyway, the polling commissioned by Shorthand PR asked Scots one question about devolution and offered a number of solutions about the balance of power between Westminster and Holyrood. It asked whether voters agreed with more or fewer powers. They've put less, but it should be fewer powers. Less power, fewer powers. If it's countable and all that. I'm not going to get into that. It's a different argument. Anyway, this was for the Scottish Government. Only 45% of SNP voters at the 2021 election backed the full independence option of Scottish Parliament should have maximum powers and Westminster Parliament no powers. Only 45%. Well, by a simple piece of mathematics, 55% of SNP voters say Westminster should retain some powers over Scotland and not allow the Scottish Parliament the full independence. 55% of SNP voters. 3% even backed the complete rollback of devolution and the potential scrapping of Holyrood. That's the SNP. 3% of the SNP. Not only do 55% want some kind of Westminster control to stop the SNP destroying anything further. This is the SNP voters. 3% of them actually want Parliament scrapped, the devolution reversed, and for the Westminster to take complete control over Scotland. Humza Yousaf, you are such a loser. It is a damning opinion of the competency, he hasn't got any, of Mr Yousaf's government, which has not inspired the confidence of voters. They have been embroiled in many scandals, with many more to come. Let me tell you, there is way, way more to come. In total, 80% of Nats do back more devolution in some way, compared to just 12% of Tory voters, 36% of Labour's, and 38% of Lib Dems. Flipped around, 38% of Conservative voters do want the Scottish Parliament to be shut down. But when 55% of SNP voters still want to some extent, control over Scotland by Westminster, you know they have got no confidence at all in the SNP to deliver an independent Scotland. Let's have that let's have that referendum. Really, let's go. Let's have that referendum right now. The polling was sparked following Lord Frost's comments, where he called on his party to review and roll back some of the SNP's administration's powers if they were re-elected to number 10. This provoked outrage among the SNP, but was backed by some Scots angered by how the country had went downhill, and including the SNP's own voters. We previously told how more than 16,000 people had signed a UK government petition for Scots to be given a second chance to reverse the verdict of the 1997 vote that led to the creation of the Scottish Parliament. The petitioners, many of whom voted in favour of devolution first time around, argued that the SNP had wrecked the settlement beyond repair. This is just getting better and better, isn't it? Salvation interviewed 1,023 people aged 16 and older on June the 27th and 28th, with the majority of those polled showing that there was an actual support for more powers for Holyrood, and that's fine. But it found that 51% of people want an enhanced Scottish Parliament, even through the transfer of more responsibilities from Westminster or through independence, although the latter reason was not as backed as much. A total of 23% that they wanted full independence, which means that 77% don't want full independence. And 78% were in favour of more powers for Holyrood, which meant 72% were not in favour of more powers for Holyrood. A further 22%, this is the country on the whole, you must remember. A further 22% said they preferred the status quo. 8% wanted responsibility taken away from Edinburgh, and 9% said the Scottish Parliament should be closed. 9% were unsure. But 55% of the SNP own voters want some Westminster control. That's startling, isn't it? And that certainly puts lie to the claim that the SNP can deliver independence. It can't even deliver an independence vote within its own party. Unbelievable. Professor John Curtis highlighted these results as showing that voters in Scotland were more nuanced than either nationalists or unionists are inclined to acknowledge. He told the Times, even among SNP supporters, a little less than 45% said that Westminster should not have any powers in Scotland. Presumably they feel that even an independent Scotland would sometimes have to negotiate with its near neighbour. He said, meanwhile, although nearly 1 in 3 unionists think that Holyrood should at least be less powerful, if not indeed abolished, just as many think it should be more powerful than now. Finding a relationship between Scotland and the rest of the UK that would satisfy most unionists looks like a difficult endeavour. I think independence is off the table for the foreseeable future. We need to have that referendum. Let him have that referendum and knowing that the majority of his own party would vote against it. Absolutely stunning. Well done, Humza Yousaf. You have achieved the impossible. You have actually turned the SNP against independence. I, sir, salute you. And I'm coming up. So who would have thought a party whose single aim is to achieve independence is now anti-independence? And that more or less since Humza Yousaf became leader, I suspect. Everyone's looked at what the SNP have done, even their own supporters who say, well, in principle, I want independence, but not with this crowd, not with this bunch. And he's actually alienated everyone, even his own supporters now. Even his own supporters don't trust the SNP to deliver independence because they've made such a pig's ear of every single thing they've done. Because they're all, as we've said many a time, complete and utter morons. I'm going to stop now. Thank you very much for watching. This has made my day, this has made my day. And I hope that this one has earned you, or earned me, you hitting that subscribe button. I work hard. I've done a lot of videos today. I work very hard. And only about 30% of you are actually subscribed. From the regular viewers, only about 30% are subscribed. So do please hit that subscribe button by way of celebrating the fact that the SNP don't want independence. Well, let us have independence. Let's get that message out and let's keep spreading the truth. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, and just enjoy the news that the SNP are all pro-Westminster now. Bye.